guys, found Death Star. I wasn't expecting to make a video tonight, but I just got done watching the episode or chapter 3 of The Mandalorian, and I thought I'd give my first thoughts in this video and just kind of rant on it a little bit. So it starts off like I kind of thought, with him going back to the planet. There was debate on whether this was going to be like a road trip movie and he was going to be, stopped along the way trying to get this yodeling thing back to the headquarters, or his not the headquarters, but the outpost where he was first hired from the Imperial. I think he was like a Moff. I don't know if he was a Grand Moff, but someone of high status in the Empire at one time. That's the Werner Herzog character. But yeah, he does go back to the planet right off the bat to return this his cargo, the Baby Yoda yodeling creature thing. I think it depends on what some people like calling it, Baby Yoda. Most people do. I like yodeling because it's a youngling that's a Yoda, so Yoda creature. So he takes it back, collects his bounty, and you get the feeling that he's got some kind of a little emotional attachment to this thing, and they kind of already set that up in the last episode where you start seeing him, kind of feel like you get the sense that he's attached. He's growing an attachment to this yodeling, and he asks the question, "What are you going to do with it?" And Werner Herzog, kind of gets a little defensive and says, "It's not, part of your code to ask questions. We'll do whatever we want with it. Here's your reward. It's handsome enough. Get out of my face," kind of thing. His response, a little shoo him away. So Mandalorian takes his Beskar armor that he got, and as a reward, Beskar, I think it's Beskar, and takes it to the guild, which was a very cool scene, I thought. So this really started to open up the world. So you see him go back to the bounty hunter, or not the bounty hunter, the underground remnants of what the Mandalorian culture, what they've become. They left Mandalore, and now they're like living underground, basically, hiding. And he goes back to the main, the matriarch, also the blacksmith, the one-stop shop for Mando, and gives the Beskar to her, and she builds his armor. And then you see all these other Mandalorians. And, they show, I don't know, maybe he was like 10, 15 of them. There's probably, I don't know how many are left, actually. That's all you really see in that scene. And you see this one big guy, and they have a little dispute, Mando and this big guy, and they get into a little bit of a fight, and they both have a knife at each other, and they're called off, and it really, so that you kind of have this nice scene where you start opening up the world now a little bit. You get the culture of Mandalorian, the Mandalorian culture, and what happened on Mandalore. You don't know really too much yet, but you get the sense that they're underground, they're having to hide, so things have not gone too well for them after the siege, which I guess we'll get to see that in Clone Wars a little bit when Clone Wars season, the last season, drops, I think in February. So but you get a little taste of it right here, and then there's a nice scene where he's getting his armor. They show the flashbacks again. You get a little further into his childhood where he's being attacked. The planet where they're on is being attacked, and this is nice because this is going back to like the prequel era, because you see the destroyer, or not the destroyer droids, but the battle droids, the super battle droids. And they're, kill the parents. He's in this little crate. They put him in a crate to hide. And then the last shot of the flashback is the battle droid opening up the little crate that he's in and aiming down the weapon he's about to fire. And then it cuts, and you're brought back into the Mandalorian stronghold. And he gets his armor, and then goes to see the Carl Weathers character, who's the head of the Bounty Hunter Guild. And at first I thought that was Embo that they were showing there. He was talking to, just a quick little shot about, hey, he's kind of having a little dispute with a bounty hunter that's in the bar. And it's a nice bar scene again. You see a few different aliens. It's a cool little atmosphere. I like that scene a lot. Carl Weathers is there, and I thought he was talking to Embo. I don't think it's him. It's that alien, that bounty hunter looked similar to Embo. Kind of had the hat. It wasn't quite as wide, and he had like a breathing mask thing, so it sort of looked like Embo, but I don't think it was. But it's Filoni, so I don't know. He does like to connect things. It very well might turn out to be, but anyway, I noticed it, thought it was maybe him, and then he collects a new bounty. He says he wants to go out again. That he's got to get away from whatever was going on, and with this baby thing, it was driving him kind of crazy that they were in league with the Empire, because you find out the Empire had a lot to do with what happened with Mandalore. So he doesn't have any love for the Empire, and he takes his next bounty. He asks Carl Weathers' character, but he asks him, what do you think they're going to do with it? And Carl Weathers says, I don't know. It's not for us to ask. It's the code. You don't ask. So just go have a good time. Go find your bounty way out in the middle of nowhere. And of course, Mando goes to his ship, and there's a nice little moment there where he says, "Nope." Well, he doesn't say anything, but in his thought process, he's telling himself, "Nope, it's not going to happen. I'm not letting this little baby thing get destroyed." So he puts it back in park and heads to the place where he was, Werner Herzog's little compound, to retrieve the baby. And this is where some action begins, and he takes out stormtroopers. It's kind of a nice little sequence where he's kind of hiding in the shadows and comes out and like taking them out one by one. It's almost like some of this episode reminded me of John Wick. It's like him against everybody, and he's kind of really sneaky and takes them out real quick. And yeah, it showed his battle skills were pretty strong. So I thought that was a nice sequence there. He takes everyone out, and then he gets the baby. He destroys the little droid from A New Hope that's torturing Leia in the Death Star. The Vader uses the big black sphere thing. He takes out one of those. It was nice to see that thing back too. He also takes out the eye from the door, the little eye thing that pops out of the door when you knock on it. It was also in Jabba's palace. Yeah, he rips that thing's head off or eye off, which is pretty cool too. I liked the whole sequence. I thought that was really well done. And they finally corner him when he has the baby yodeling with him. And there's like 5 stormtroopers or so, maybe 4. And he's down on his knees, and he's got this cool little weapon in his glove that I think they're called like the singing birds or singing canaries or something like that. And they shoot out. There's, I don't know, like 6 or 7 of them, and they shoot out of his hand, and they spin around and find the target and, kill the target. I guess they use some kind of sonar or something, because you hear them like whistling. So I'm thinking they like whistle, they make a whistling sound and use sonar to find like the target of, what they're trying. Maybe they're measuring density, so they know it's like a human or a battle armor. I don't know, but I think it has something to do with like the sound. That's kind of what I got from it. It was a cool little device. He takes them all out. And then he's walking through the town, and then all of a sudden, all these little bounty things that he gets when he gets a bounty, he's got this little, I don't know, it's like a little rectangle piece that has this little loop or like 2 little antennas, and then it glows red when there's a bounty. So you start seeing everyone in the bar, headquarters of the bounty hunters, and they all start going after him. So he's on the street and he's all alone, and it's him and the baby, and then Carl Weathers and like 20 or 30, it's like half the town is after him, and they're all there with guns, and there's a huge shootout scene. He disintegrates a bunch of people. He starts getting away in a speeder, and then he finally gets stuck, and he's surrounded again, and Carl Weathers is like, give us the baby. There's no way out of here. I'm your only hope, kind of thing. And all of a sudden, you see this blast come from the sky above him, and you see a guy get shot off a rooftop, and then there's a couple explosions, and then you see all these Mandalorians who have the freaking jetpacks on them, and they're flying around and hovering and shooting, and it's a pretty cool scene. It reminded me of like the Clone Wars, a scene in the Clone Wars TV show. To see that in like real life, so to speak, live action was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see that scene. I thought the CG looked good for a TV show. It's pretty darn impressive. I thought the practical effects in general were pretty good with this show. It's done a good job, but you can tell it's a TV show. It doesn't quite have the movie quality, even though these episodes are costing a lot of money. But they do look good. Yeah, he gets free. He goes in his ship, and then takes off, and that's basically the end of the episode. So that kind of sums it all up. I liked it. it was some good action sequences. Again, I still like the pacing of it. It's still a little slower outside of the action scenes, but I'm still okay with that. I kind of like how they're building it slowly. You find out that Carl Weathers is, well, I mean, he's not a bad guy, but he's kind of like the guy in John Wick. It reminds me of John Wick. There's certain things like, they're the Assassin's Guild that John Wick's a part of, and yeah, it's kind of has a lot of similarities to it. I'm not sure where they're taking this now. He's out on his own now. Now he's gonna have the Empire and the Bounty Hunter Guild after him. So I'm guessing he'll just be, it'll be like in a avoiding, trying to get away, trying to go safe havens, maybe connecting with people who might be able to help him. It'll be interesting to see where they take it, but it's definitely going to be, he's going to be on the run for a while here. So yeah, that was the episode. These are my initial reaction. The show definitely has its own tone, its own style right off the bat. It's got a very unique style. From episode 1, I kind of felt this, and it definitely has its own feel to it, which I like. I'm still a fan of the music. A couple little things here and there with the music kind of threw me a bit, but overall, I like that it has its own feel to it. It has kind of that Western vibe, but it's still it's a sci-fi kind of galaxy far, far away. It's reminiscent of some Star Wars, but different as well. And for what this show is and what it deals with, I'm okay with it. I don't want anything too similar to the movies, episodes 1 through 6, and I guess the sequel trilogy. Because you got to count that in there because it is John Williams. So all right, guys. Well, let me know what you think of the episode. If you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I do appreciate you guys doing that. And until next time, lock the doors and hope they don't have blasters.